South Africans have a reputation for tackling tough physical sporting challenges. From the Doozy Canoe Marathon to the Midmar Mile, the Cape Epic and Ironman, and of course, the big daddy of them all, Comrades Marathon. We love pushing ourselves to and often beyond our limits in endurance events. On the back of the explosion in popularity of mountain biking in the last 15 years comes trail running. There are a growing number of events, both one-day and multiple stage events all over the country. The Oxpecker Trail Run is one such event, taking place around 20 kilometers outside Winterton in the shadow of the historic Speenkop Mountain in Kwa-Zulu Natal. It's a two-day run that takes the entrance over some of the trails made famous by the Bush mountain bike event. It's organised by a local farming family, the Greens, more particularly Father Gary and his youngest daughter Spoon, who tells us that the Oxpecker is not just a trail run.
The Oxpecker is a trail run, but to be honest, it is a lot more than that. We do have other aspects, like we go out to the Speenkop Game Reserve for sundowners, where we have a history talk about Speenkop Mountain that you've just run over. We also have a stiff-legged jaw in the evening where we play some local music and just have a fun time. So there are other aspects. It's not just a trail run.
The Greens are a dynamic, outdoors can-do family. So where did the idea come from to host a trail running event?
So my dad and I were running in the hills one day, and we're running on these beautiful trails, and we just thought it would be amazing to have a trail run. And there were no two-day trail runs in the country then, and we just thought this was a really good gap in the market and we should definitely just showcase our area.
The first Oxpecker was in 2015, when just under 500 runners turned up at Mseni Camp, the race base for the 2 days. Since then, it has grown in numbers at a phenomenal rate. And this year, close on 3,000 runners enjoyed the magnificent trails and cool vibes of the Oxpecker over 3 consecutive weekends, with the yellow-billed, red-billed and African Oxpecker events. The Greens are familiar with hosting mountain bikers, but trail runners were a little different.
So 2019 is our 5th year Oxpecker, so we actually started in 2015. And yeah, obviously, no one having done a 2-day trail run before, and it being a first for our family, it is very daunting. And yeah, we were absolutely amazed to have 450 runners at our first event, and just so blessed that it's just grown every year.
The Greens have been cattle farmers in the area for many years and live a short run from the race village, which is on the banks of the river, just downstream from the Speenkop Dam and Nature Reserve. Coming up with a name for an event like this can be a daunting task, but for Spoon and Gary, it was pretty simple.
Spoon and I were running the mountains, and we decided that we'd start this trail run, so we needed a name. So what had happened recently was that we just reintroduced a whole lot of red-billed oxpeckers into the area, and so we just decided that that would be a good name, because we're also very aware of conservation in the area, and we had wanted to support it, especially the Speenkop Game Reserve that houses the whole flock, or most of the birds.
There's a massive logistical and organisational challenge in presenting a 2-day event in rural KwaZulu Natal. This means that Spoon and Gary lean heavily on the skill and expertise of the local community in and around Winterton to help them in every way they can. It's a two-way street because the local community benefit from being involved in the Oxpecker as well.
Yeah, so the community is very involved in this event. We obviously can't host it without them. We employ probably up to 100 people. We have people putting up the tents, taking down the tents, gathering firewood for the boilers, cleaning up generally after all the riders, and doing the route, preparing all the route preparation. So it's been great for the local community. They really appreciate it. It gives them employment, and we also can't do the event without them, so it's a win-win.
The Bush is a wildly popular mountain bike stage race. Similar to the Oxpecker in that it also presents 3 consecutive events, it attracts close on 3,000 entrants over the 3 events in October every year. With their 2 daughters and sons still at school and studying, initially it was just Gary and wife Nikki who did much of the organising. That experience gained from the Bush and the can-do attitude of the children means that the Oxpecker lacks for nothing by way of top-class organisational skill and experience.
So about 13 years ago, we started the Bush, a mountain bike race, and it teaches you a lot. It teaches you how to look after bigger numbers, what people like. But I think the Oxpecker was a whole new experience, and Spoon's brought a lot into that. There are a lot of young people running, so young people have slightly different perceptions, and so I think the combination of my experience of running big events and Spoon's enthusiasm and new ideas, the recipe has worked well for the weekends.
The area in which the Oxpecker takes place has all the ingredients required for a truly fantastic experience for the runners. With natural and historic elements all around them, the Greens are keen to share what they have with like-minded people. Gary gives us a rundown on some of the significant features of the region.
Incredibly blessed to be able to live in this area. We've got mountains, we've got rivers, we've got beautiful bushveld, and I grew up not far from here, about 30 kilometers from here, and I've always wanted to come and farm here. So we were able to translocate and come and live here. And I think the nice thing about it now is that we can bring people into the area and actually show them what we've got, and they just really appreciate, being able to run around Spierenkop Mountain, camp on the banks of the Tugela River, the next day run through beautiful bushveld, and also they go into Spierenkop Game Reserve, so it is a really special area.
The Oxpecker takes place in the shadow of one of South Africa's most famous battlefields. Over 2 days in January 1900, forces of the British Army and the then South African Republic fought a bloody battle on the slopes of Spierenkop Mountain, where just over 300 died. Former British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and former Indian Prime Minister Mahatma Gandhi were present as well, acting as a messenger and a stretcher bearer respectively. 119 years later, the runners in the Oxpecker get to fight their own personal battles on Spierenkop.
There's a lot of historical significance in the area. Most notably a Spierenkop Mountain that played a big part in the Anglo-Boer War, where the British and the Boers had a battle. So it's frequently visited by people from all around the world. So having that in our area and being able to show that is a real benefit.
Over the 2 days of the Oxpecker, the runners get to enjoy a weekend of amazing trail running and great social interaction with friends and family as they escape the hustle and bustle of everyday life. To ensure that they have the best possible experience, an enormous amount of work goes into preparation and planning, and it takes considerably longer than one would think.
Putting together an event of this nature starts many, many months before. Probably as we close this event, we'll probably have a rest for about a month, and then we're in the process of getting the website ready, maybe getting ready for entries, and then the whole logistical thing comes into it. So as we know in the past, we have a spreadsheet that we work off to say, remember, you got to do this in this month and that in the next month, that in the next month. And you start chatting to caterers, maybe the menu that they're going to do. You're going to chat to the medical people to make sure that everybody's safe. And about 2-3 months before the event, you have to have everything ready and in place, because after that, it's just too late.
The overriding factor in the Oxpecker is the F word, fun. And the bubbly race director has extended that to the race categories. While there are the normal categories one gets at every race, Spoon has introduced some unusual fun ones as well, as she tells us.
So at the Oxpecker we have a relationship category, which you have to be dating for at least 3 months, and you have to still be dating when you cross the finish line, and it's been pretty positive, I would say. We've had a couple of people get engaged and who met at Oxpecker, which is awesome, but we've definitely had some couples who it hasn't gone so well for them, and they've requested for their tents to be placed on the opposite ends of the campsite.
Athletes, professionals and amateurs alike all over the world expect and receive trophies and medals when they win or finish a race. In keeping with the Oxpecker's giving back to the community ethos, Spoon Green changed things up this year in terms of the medals.
This year at Oxpecker we decided to create jobs instead of giving out the usual medal, which everyone has so many of. So we decided to get the local community involved and give them an awesome initiative in planting vegetables. And hopefully, I mean, it was a complete gamble and it worked out that it was all fine and the vegetables came out amazingly. So I might go into veggie farming now. But yeah, we just really hope that the runners got into the spirit of things and understood why we did what we did, and yeah. So in the morning we like to try and get the community involved. So we get a whole lot of local taxis to transport our runners from Mseni, the race village, to the start for day 2. As you can see, we've got one of the taxis coming down the road here. We just hope that once they've taken the runners that they come back to fetch the next runners.
The multiple-day trail running scene is growing at a phenomenal rate, with events popping up all over the country. Each offers something special to the entrants in terms of terrain and routes. The young, vibrant trail runners are looking for something different, and Spoon is constantly looking for ways to innovate and create a unique experience for her entrants. She also has to deal with the odd unusual request from some of the entrants.
One thing about the Oxpecker, which I believe is very special and unique, is that we always are striving to be as innovative as possible, constantly thinking of ways to be different or how we can stay ahead of the game, and yeah, just trying to make it the best out there. One of the funny stories I have doing Oxpecker admin is I often get requests to find out which weekends people's ex-boyfriends have entered so that they don't enter the same event. But even funnier is I often get requests to please remove them out the tent and place them as far away as possible from that specific tent due to a breakup or something. So you have to laugh.
The weekends at the Oxpecker are a really special way to escape into the countryside for those who spend much of their time in the big bustling cities. It's a chance to switch off from the hurly-burly business world and connect with friends, both old and new, and enjoy the stunning beauty of the Kwa-Zulu Natal bushveld and farmlands.
I think the success in the Oxpecker is just, it's such a nice weekend away for people. We are situated between Durban and Joburg, so it's a great reunion for friends and not too far from the city to get out for a nice weekend away, and yeah.
As we've learned, the popularity of the Oxpecker has seen a huge growth in numbers and an expansion from a single weekend. With so many options available to South African outdoor enthusiasts, this growth is a tribute to the passion the Green family have for their area, the community and the runners.
At the moment we host 3 events on consecutive weekends, and we've had lots of requests for whether we're going to be running a 4th one. At this rate we're really happy with 3 events. We haven't thought about a 4th one just yet. Our event is a family-run event, so it's just our family and our extended family, locals in the area who are really crucial to the event. We are somehow very professional. We aren't a commercial organising team or anything like that. We just have so much passion for what we're doing, and I think that just makes it professional.
Now that we've got to know all about how the Oxpecker started and is run, it's time to hit the trails, so to speak. Day 1 is a 20-kilometre run. Starting along the banks of the Tugela River, the route follows cattle tracks slowly meandering to the base of Speenkop Mountain. The climbing begins on a well-worn, purpose-made single track, making running easier as the runners and walkers make their way towards the summit of Twin Peaks, passing under beautiful acacia trees and aloes. After soaking up the incredible views from the summit, the runners then traverse along the top before arriving at Waterpoint 1, which is manned by a group of festive ladies who climbed up the previous day, taking up all the food and drinks. Suitably energized, the runners then make their way down on single track, passing herds of antelope and giraffe, before arriving at Garden of Eden. This last 5-kilometre section takes runners home along a handmade track under beautiful trees along the riverbank before arriving at the finish at Mseni. And clearly, all the runners just loved it.
It's been fantastic. Oh,
Wonderful.
amazing run.
From next year or last year to this year, amazing what they've done to the route, so I'm thankful for that. Thank you.
Very good. Brilliant. Amazing race. Get fitter next year.
Oh, it's incredible. The views are incredible, and the people are on good spirits all the way up.
After a relaxing afternoon and a fun evening and a night in the tents, the runners wake early on the second morning ahead of day 2. A 16-kilometre run is on the menu.
Definitely a bit busier than last year. Last year we were over there. I think it was one of 5 tents. This year it's a bit busy. We're looking forward. Oh, it's attention to detail. It's really well organised, like-minded people. It's great fun.
coming to something that you haven't been to before. This is our first Oxpecker, and I'm sure we'll definitely be back. So yeah, just something completely different, and definitely the fresh air. I think it just rejuvenates your soul and just gives you a new perspective.
We've been doing
on life.
road running for 5 years on and off. This is our first, call it proper stage race. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. That's something different.
And many more to come, I think.
Yeah, definitely. After last night's fantastic tent experience, I think we are ready for this thing.
Yeah.
It's one of the most beautiful sunrises I haven't seen in a long time. But I always say that because when you're here, you're really in the moment and looking at the sky and the surroundings. It does something to you. Yeah. And I think once you're running, and running is one of those things. When you run, it is actually hard, but it's being in yourself that propels you forward and actually makes it worth it.
The second day starts with a fun ride and a taxi to the top of the hill to reach the start. This is a traditional cattle and irrigation farm, so the runners get to run through maize fields and pass herds of cattle grazing in the pastures. After a small climb, they run down through the thick African bushveld on purpose-made single tracks, passing large fields of aloes all the way back to the river, crossing at a bridge, before finishing back at the race village at Mseni. The trail running community is young and vibrant, and always up for a challenge, be it on the trails, in the beer tent, or in selecting and designing unusual running gear.
We actually got the shirts for another marathon that we're training for at the end of the year, but we thought that they'd be quite cool for today as well. And this is our matching gear, yeah. So.
Oh, here we are, top of the mountain. The Lucha Libre professional Mexican wrestlers are killing it at the moment. We got one or two more guys behind us, but they're just keeping up with the birds. Those few front runners are the real steam cats though.
This is mind-blowing, eh? The views are insane. My head is cooking. I'm meant to be a fun guy. I think I'm a fun guy. But yeah, this is just an awesome, bro.
Any runner will tell you there is a liberating feeling when they hit the trail. Whether they're the hotshots charging up front, or those taking it a little slower and absorbing the atmosphere and views, they all feed off the positive endorphins and experience that famous runner's high.
It's been going well. This uphill here was so hectic, but we did it. I think we're about halfway now, so that's so exciting.
It's just breathtaking. Breathtaking. We're waiting and we can't wait for the giraffe and the herds of animals. Hey.
It's a beast, this thing, eh? Jeez, today. But, jeez, what a day, though. Perfect day to be doing it, though.
Absolutely beautiful. The single track is amazing. I'm glad we don't have to run up it. Absolutely stunning, what a day.
Waiting for my crew, man. Sitting here 10 minutes, you know, and racing snake. And this is a hell of a climb. So I'm just waiting for them to get around this corner. They should be coming up any minute. What a race, awesome.
We live in Durban. We are from Holland. We live here now for 2 years, and since we moved here, we started trail running. It's become quite a passion of ours, eh?
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, I really love it. This is the first time for us here at Oxpecker, and yeah, so far it's been hard. We've just had the first 9 kilometers, but yeah, looking forward to the second half.
Yeah, quite spectacular, so we enjoy it.
The Oxpecker has universal appeal. Grannies, grandpas, mums and dads, and the next generation are all part of what makes it a truly special event. While it will always remain a family-run event, with the associated relaxed vibe, Gary tells us that they're always on the lookout for like-minded partners to share the journey with them.
We started the event, just family run, and Artek, a special friend of the event, he got involved. And but subsequent to that, we've just been running it, we self-funded, and we had a really good an event now that's just passed. But yeah, sure, there are sponsors out there that like our brand. We're definitely happy to have a chat to them, and they can partner us.
As we've heard, there are some unusual and fun stories that emerge from the Oxpecker Trail Running weekends. And 2019 is no different.
I think the only funny thing happened this weekend was there was a young lady running on the routes, and she fell and she broke her tooth. And following her was an elderly lady who helped her find the tooth, and the The younger one now with a broken tooth was feeling a bit faint, so she got a lift down to the medic on the motorbike. And the elderly lady got left with this half a tooth, not knowing what to do with it. So she put it into her pouch to look after it, and then she forgot all about it. And the next day she went running, and she pulled out her chocolate energy bar to have a bite, and in there it melted the tooth, and she was chewing the tooth.
With the 2019 Oxpecker Trail Run done and dusted, the runners taking wonderful memories of a special weekend home with them, the planning and preparation for the 6th year of the Oxpecker will start very shortly. As Spoon tells us, it keeps her very busy.
So the event's just finished now, and I would say probably in 2 months' time we'll open entries and start getting things ready for 2020. And yeah, I would say it's almost like a 365-day sort of thing. You are constantly working on trying to make things better, think of more innovative ideas. Yeah, I would say it's a full-time job for me. For Dad, he's a 49% over here. He does the trails a little bit closer to the event.
South Africans love a good weekend away, particularly if it involves camping and testing themselves physically. If it's as well run and as much fun as the Oxpecker Trail Run, then they'll spread the word and come back year in and year out. Each has a reason for running and a story to tell.
Yeah, it was a great run. I'm quite surprised how quickly we got to the top. I think the little sneak was the stairs that got cut into the side of the mountain. That was tough. That was really tough. But once over, brilliant running, beautiful trails, and just great being out in the middle of nowhere and taking the scenery. A really good day.
This is my 5th one. I was here from the first one, and it's one of the most amazing races that we do every year. The trails are phenomenal, but more than that, just organisation, and to have watched it grow from year 1 to what it is now has been such a treat.
I think the entire atmosphere, really, and everybody enjoying it. Although it's serious, it's a lot of fun too, and it's just grown and grown. The organisation is fantastic, and that's why we keep coming back every year.
The Oxpecker Trail Run is clearly a must-do event for all trail runners and outdoor fun seekers. The 2020 Oxpecker takes place over 3 consecutive weekends from the 16th of May. You don't want to miss out on running one of them. Entries open on the 1st of August. Just go to www.oxpecker.co.za. You won't be disappointed.